Authorities in Oklahoma identify a body found in Tar Creek over the weekend. Some Joplin residents voiced concerns over parking space in the city's downtown.
The FBI says it knows which group of hackers was behind a cyber attack that shut down a major fuel pipeline. I'm Natalie Brand with who's suspected and could it impact gas prices?
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities identify a man whose body was found in Tar Creek. This is KOAM News at 5. Police with the Grand River Dam Authority identified the man as 24-year-old Casey Hampton of Miami. A resident on Saturday found Hampton's body in Tar Creek, just north of the Neosho River in Miami. The GRDA recovered the body. The investigation continues. More concerns are raised involving parking in downtown Joplin, with discussions of two new developments in the works. Last year, business owners raised concerns over a parking study for the Cornell complex now being built on 7th Street. The complex is taking the place of the Memorial Hall parking lot, which reduced the amount of parking available downtown. Tonight, projects are being discussed involving the redevelopment of Memorial Hall and the former library, which could place an additional strain on parking.
You come out on a busy Saturday night, it's tough to find a spot to park. Third Thursday is impossible. And so many cars already park in the Memorial Hall parking lot now, which is now demolished. So that's just, all those cars are going to have to park farther out.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear more from a Wamble about her concerns and from Mayor Stanley on the city's position. The Humane Society of the United States releases its annual report highlighting 100 problem puppy sellers. The 2021 Horrible 100 report says Missouri tops the list with 21 puppy sellers. Kansas has 7 on the list. Locally in Neosho, Missouri, a dog at J&K Puppies LLC and Puppy Travelers was found lethargic and with dried mucus around its nostrils. And dogs at Whispering Oaks Kennel in Coffeyville, Kansas were photographed in crowded enclosures. However, these businesses were not cited by the USDA. Later tonight, we're going to have the complete Horrible 100 report on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Nick Kelly joins us now with a first look at the weather. Hi, Nick.
Good afternoon, Dow. I wish we had a better start to the work week and school week, but with a lot of cloud cover, scattered rain that we saw in parts of the area throughout the day, the best we could do temperature-wise was get temperatures in the middle to upper 50s this afternoon. Not seeing a whole lot on the radar right now, since we're finally getting into a bit of a lull in the action, but there's still a few showers riding along the Crawford-Cherokee County line, scraping north of Weir, north of Scammon, but we see more moisture wanting to roll in from the west, and that will continue to keep rain chances in the forecast. Right now, most of us sitting in the mid to upper 50s. We get a break in our rain chances with partly to mostly cloudy skies through the overnight, but you can see as we turn cool once again with lows in the 40s. By the time the morning drive gets underway, we'll see rain chances ready to roll back in. So Dow will break down how long these rain chances will stick around, and we'll finally warm back up, all coming up here in a bit. All right,
we'll catch you then. Thanks, Nick. Congress gets back to work this week following a recess. One of the first items on the agenda for House Republicans will be a vote Wednesday on whether they want to remove Representative Liz Cheney as the GOP conference chair, the number 3 position in the House Republican caucus. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy came out in support of Cheney's removal this weekend and endorsed Representative Elise Stefanik to be her replacement. A cyber gang is suspected of causing the ransomware attack on one of our nation's largest pipelines. The Colonial Pipeline shutdown is now in its 3rd day, with the company scrambling to get service returned to normal before gas prices rise. Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill.
The FBI and Homeland Security officials have confirmed a group of hackers known as DarkSide was responsible for the ransomware attack impacting Georgia-based Colonial Pipeline.
It's a ransomware as a service variant, where criminal affiliates conduct attacks and then share the proceeds with the ransomware developers.
The breach impacted more than 5,000 miles of pipeline that carries roughly 45% of gas and other fuel consumed on the East Coast. President Biden was asked Monday whether he believes Russia is involved.
So far, there is no evidence based on from our intelligence people that Russia is involved, although there is evidence that the actor's ransomware is in Russia.
Analysts say gasoline prices are unlikely to be affected if the pipeline returns to normal in the next few days. But the administration is looking at federal options for addressing possible supply shortfalls if they develop.
Right now, there are no supply disruptions, and the Department of Energy's information agency, the EIA, is doing the analysis right now about potential supply disruptions.
The attack also highlights the increasing threat of cyber attacks to the nation's infrastructure.
Ransomware is a national security threat.
Former DHS head of cyber and infrastructure security, Chris Krebs, says the tactics used during the Colonial Pipeline attack indicate veteran cyber criminals.
I don't think we've done enough of is signal very clearly to the nations like Russia that harbor these criminals and tell them that this will not stand any longer.
Meanwhile, Colonial Pipeline says it's in the process of restoring some of its IT systems and hopes to substantially restore service by the end of the week. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The president today announced new steps his administration is taking to help state and local governments after last week's lackluster jobs report. The Treasury Department is launching a $350 billion effort to get emergency funding to state and local governments as part of the American Rescue Plan. The president says it'll help get educators, first responders, and sanitation workers back to work. Crowds gathered at Israel's holiest site ran for cover as sirens blasted through Jerusalem. Hamas claimed responsibility for firing a barrage of rockets into Israel from the Gaza Strip, damaging at least one home. Militant leaders say the attack was in response to clashes at a mosque that has injured hundreds of Palestinians. In response, Israel fired an airstrike at the Gaza Strip, killing 20 people, including 9 children. Still ahead, breaking down food labels.
A new study shows many of us misunderstand the date labels on the food we buy. I'm Elise Preston with what the labels tell us about when a product may still be okay to eat and when it's time to toss it.
And next in Health Watch, Americans overseas are returning to the U.S. to get a COVID-19 vaccine as Europe's rollout remains slow. The Food and Drug Administration today approved Pfizer and BioNTech's request to allow their COVID-19 vaccine to be given to kids ages 12 to 15 on an emergency use basis. The company said in late March the vaccine was found to be 100% effective in a clinical trial of more than 2,000 adolescents. Officials also said side effects were generally consistent with those seen in adults. The American Academy of Pediatrics is calling on doctors to be aware of how COVID-related racism is affecting Asian American children. A large number of Asian Americans report having poorer mental health as hate crimes spike. The organization says isolation and stress can also have huge impacts on a child's mental, physical, and emotional well-being. A growing number of Americans living overseas are flying back to the U.S. to get vaccinated, as the wait for a shot abroad can be long and frustrating. Ian Lee reports.
Just before Turkey shut down the country to stop the spread of COVID, American Amy Goldsmith, living in Istanbul, saw an opportunity back home in Virginia.
Because the situation in Turkey was so bad, I basically didn't leave my apartment for 3 weeks.
She's one of many Americans flying thousands of miles back to the U.S. to get vaccinated.
Because of the way the global supply has been allocated, Americans have this incredible opportunity, and I feel that that kind of privilege cannot be wasted.
Connecticut residents James and Diane Charney got tired of waiting at their home in the Italian countryside.
We were not eligible in Italy up till the time we left. We were too young.
We were really old, but we weren't quite old enough.
Europe's vaccine rollout has been plagued by disruptions. Just over 10% of all Europeans have been fully vaccinated. Compare that to more than 34% of Americans.
And when we saw how well the vaccine rollout was happening here, it was very impressive.
U.S. officials don't count the number of Americans returning to be vaccinated, but more than 9 million U.S. citizens currently live abroad. Do you count yourselves lucky?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're very lucky that we were able to take advantage of something the U.S. is really doing well.
Amy counts herself lucky too, fortunate enough to safely reunite with her 97-year-old vaccinated grandmother. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Here in the U.S., at least 18 states have lifted their vaccine residency requirements, allowing people to travel across state lines to get a COVID shot. We have something exciting coming up this week on KOAM and Fox 14. On Thursday, we're going to be hosting Vaccine Day. Experts from Mercy Hospital, Joplin, will be taking your calls and answering your questions regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. Join us for each newscast, starting with the KOAM Morning News for our Vaccine Day special Thursday. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce calls to end the extra $300 payments for unemployed Americans.
Plus, we'll see when rain chances will finally clear out and when we'll finally warm up too, coming up next. This Monday in the month of May didn't feel like a typical Monday in the month of May. With a lot of cloud cover, rain chances around, we certainly saw that impact temperatures quite a bit for today. You can see how on the backside of our storm system they gave us thunderstorms to wrap up the weekend. We went from 74 Sunday morning at 5 a.m. and then the rest of yesterday afternoon spent in the 50s to only dropping back into the upper 40s this morning. It took a little time, but we are finally seeing temperatures pushing back at least into the mid-50s at Joplin Regional, while 61 finally in Fort Scott, 60 in Nevada, 58 in Oswego. So most spots mainly in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. Now that we're finally getting a break in the rain chances temporarily, but also some peaks of sun trying to break through our mostly cloudy sky. 56 at the airport in Joplin, east breeze at 10, humidity sitting at 62%. And you can see how we go through the rest of the evening. I think we're in good shape in terms of our rain chances, none to speak of for the evening. But as far as temperatures go, we fall through the 50s, upper 40s by 10, eventually mid 40s by the time we head toward Tuesday morning. So we had to start our Monday out with a good band, at least a start, of some scattered rain. Thankfully, no thunderstorms with that. And we see this activity really taper off over the past few hours. In fact, a closer look at things on the radar network suggests maybe a light shower trying to hold on along 400 east of Neodesha and Fredonia, and maybe a couple sprinkles trying to skirt around Pittsburgh and let's say north of Carl Junction around Waco and Asbury. But we are not done with these rain chances just yet. More moisture, we're firing up some more rain across southern Nebraska, eastern Colorado, western Kansas, all due to this guy, this spinning upper low across the northern Rockies. And as long as this sticks around for the next few days, so too will the cloud cover and the rain chances. Again, this evening, though, we're dry. We're going to hold off on any additional rain chances until we head into Tuesday morning. After we start cool with temperatures in the mid-40s, here comes our next chance for scattered rain through the late morning hours and even into the afternoon. I think we can do a little bit better with temperatures, but still going to be a bit below normal for this time of the year. 45 in the morning, 53 by noon, and a high of 57. That should be a decent warm-up despite an east breeze tomorrow at 10 to 20, in addition to the cloud cover and the rain chances trying to hold on. We'll hold on to some scattered showers as we go through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, but that system finally moves on. We'll dry out for the afternoon and finally see more sunshine. That should be enough to send us back into the lower 60s on Wednesday. And by the time we start drying out Wednesday afternoon, we'll get a chance to get a break in our rain chances, even though the rain chances to come don't look very impressive. Maybe a quarter of an inch to maybe half an inch in some spots. So we're quiet for Wednesday afternoon through Thursday and Friday, but sticking with Doug's pattern, our next storm system will bring some thunderstorms in here on Saturday. And for Sunday and Monday thunderstorm chances, we could be looking at another low severe threat that we'll have to keep an eye on as we get through next weekend and into early next week. So 57 with rain chances tomorrow, 61 on Wednesday, mid-60s with plenty of sunshine on Thursday, 70 on Friday, and despite the rain chances going into early next week, Dow, mid-70s on Saturday, and back near 80 by Sunday and Monday.
The temperature is not bad.
Yeah, they're heading in the right direction, thankfully.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up, a new study says most Americans misinterpret food date labels. First, though, we honor a local veteran, Luther Hansheis, served in the U.S. Navy. His hometown, Columbus, Kansas, and we salute Chief Optical Man Luther Hansheis, a four-state hero. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce wants Washington to immediately stop paying people who are out of work an extra $300 in unemployment benefits. The business lobby says the boost in government aid is giving some recipients less incentive to look for work. It also says about 1 in 4 recipients are taking home more in unemployment pay than what they earned when they were employed. Airline pre-pandemic rules are starting to come back. Travelers with Delta, Alaska, and United Airlines can no longer make changes to basic economy tickets for purchases made after May 1st. But not all of the flexibility is out the window. United, American, and Delta are sticking with their promise to drop change fees for any flight above the basic economy level. A rising number of travelers took to the skies this Mother's Day weekend. More than 1.7 million people were screened at airports around the nation on Friday. That's the busiest day for air travel since last March, when the pandemic began. The TSA says crowds at airports are still down 40% in April and May compared to that same time period in 2019. If you've read those best if used by and used by labels at the grocery store and scratched your head, well, you are not alone. A recent study showed that the vast majority of shoppers misinterpret food date labels. Reporter Elise Preston breaks down the labeling mystery and what it means for your wallet and your health.
Reading the fine print at the supermarket might not be as straightforward as you think.
I'm not sure if just the manufacturer saying when they would like you to be using it by, or if it's actually when that would be best by.
The food industry introduced a voluntary to-date labeling system in 2017. Used by is for safety. Best if used by tells you about quality.
I've been reading food labels since 1973.
But a recent study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Education, and Behavior found less than half of consumers surveyed knew that best if used by meant food quality may deteriorate after the date. And only about a quarter knew that used by meant the food is unsafe to eat after that point. Catherine Turvey is one of the study's authors.
Despite using the labels frequently, many people didn't understand the labels fully.
Experts say if a product is past the use-by date, toss it. If it's after the best if used-by date, but stored appropriately, you can use your senses to determine whether to eat it.
You could tell that there's a change in your food because it smells sort of different. It doesn't have, say it's chips, it doesn't have that crunch that you're looking for.
Turvey says understanding the labels will help avoid consuming bad food and reduce food and financial waste.
When we waste food, we waste all of the resources that went into producing the food, transporting the food, storing the food, and waste food that could have been used to feed people.
Experts say a federal labeling standard could reduce the confusion. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
There is currently no federally regulated standard for the date labels that appear on food products except for infant formula. A final check of the forecast is next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear from Joplin City officials on concerns about downtown parking space. Plus, 2 area restaurants are recognized for their efforts in helping community members in need. And the Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson says his state will no longer provide an additional $300 to unemployed workers. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Check back with Nick Kelly now for a final look at the weather.
Well, we're finally getting a break on our rain chances, at least for the rest of today, Dal, but those rain chances are ready to come right back in starting tomorrow morning through the day tomorrow. Couple that with cloudy skies. We'll only have highs topping out around 57, but finally back near 61 as these rain chances clear out on Wednesday. Quiet and warming up back near 70 by Friday. Then we'll watch for additional thunderstorm chances and possibly a severe threat by early next week.
Thanks, Nick, and thank you for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.